Hi everyone, welcome back. Arpeggios are basically broken chords. If I take a chord of C, for example, and pick the notes individually, I've got an arpeggio. If we're soloing, we don't want the notes to ring out, we want one note at a time. What this video is not going to be about is about creating monstrous sweep picking arpeggios that are hard to learn and you have to kind of crowbar them into your solos. I want to give you stuff that you can start using instantly. Now, if you're in a situation, say in a gig, where you have to play a solo on the spot, there's absolutely no shame in just taking the chords you're playing in the song and literally just arpeggiate them. So if you've got, say, C, F, G, you could go... It could get you out of trouble. But of course, we want to go further than that. Now, I should say that you don't have to arpeggiate the chord being played by the rest of the band. So if the band's playing C, F, and G, you don't have to play those arpeggios. You can play any arpeggio in the key of C and it will work. You're essentially extending the chords. There's a lot to get through in this video, but as always, we'll start with a little bit of theory as to how we make basic arpeggios. The simplest arpeggio is a triad. So we could play root, third, fifth. This is from a note C, by the way. C, E, G, root, third, fifth. And then we can add the octave as well. But it kind of sounds like an exercise. It's not very nice, but we could make it more interesting by extending the triad and having, say, major 7. Across 2 octaves, it looks like this. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. We get a lovely little staircase there of notes. And back, 1, 7, 5, 3, 1. And then 7, 5, 3, 1. Okay, we can flatten the 7, and we've got ourselves a C dominant 7 arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. This little part here is actually really nice because it's a very nice sweepable pattern. So I'm going push, 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 down, 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 up, up, up. Just a quick note on sweep picking. You don't have to sweep pick, but it makes a lot of sense to basically push through the strings when you're moving in one direction. So for example, if I've got a nice little arpeggio like this, I've got 12, 11, 10, 13. I'm pushing, I'm not hopping, I'm pushing. So I'm going push, 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 and I need an even number of notes to change direction. So 1, 2, 3, and then pull back up. Notice I'm pulling back, I'm not hopping. We can also play a minor 7 arpeggio. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 1, and back, 1, flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1. We could play a minor 7, flat 5 arpeggio, but to be honest, it's not very nice to play because you get this kind of thing. 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. It's just not very comfortable. Now, we could take the same approach across all the strings, but I don't want to get bogged down here with what can start to feel like a bunch of exercises. So let's look at some short but sweet ideas that we can apply easily. Let's use the caged scale patterns as a starting point. I did a video all about this, but here's a reminder of the C major scale patterns which fit over C-shaped, A-shaped, G-shaped, E-shaped and D-shaped bar chords. So we could start up here on the C-shaped chord and the scale pattern that fits over it. But instead, let's come down here. We'll start down this end of the neck in the key of C. We'll start with the A shape. Here's the chord. Here's the scale pattern that fits over it. There's loads of arpeggios hiding in there. Now, what I would do is, instead of looking for the more complicated ones, let's just do this little approach where we take the last note on every string and move kind of diagonally across the strings like this. 5, 3, 2, and then we'll add an extra note here on the D string, 5. So I've got, and that's an A minor 7 arpeggio. I could do the same from the from the A string. 5, 3, 2, 5, that's a D minor 7 arpeggio. And then from the last note of the D string, 5, 4, 3, 6, that's a G7 arpeggio. And then on the G string, 5, 5, 3, 7, that extra note there, I've borrowed that from the next pattern, but that's basically a C major 7 arpeggio. Now, you could actually forget what the names are. As long as you know what pattern you're in, you can just do this kind of thing. Now, this is still sounding a bit like an exercise, but you wouldn't do the whole thing. You'd do little bits of that, and maybe even incorporate parts of the scale. So you could do this kind of thing. moving on to the next pattern, we've got the G-shaped bar chord like this, and the scale that fits over it, which is this. Okay, now this one's a bit tricky because watch what happens if we do the same kind of thing. C major 7, we get this stretch here, it's not very nice, and it's borrowing from the next pattern. You can do that if you want, but you can be lazy. You could go 1, 3, 5, 6, so you've got a C6 arpeggio. You could do the same from the A string, either a stretch or a F6 arpeggio, then an A minor 7 arpeggio, and a D minor 7. Now this bit here, you've got choices. You can either do exactly what we did on the way up, or you could go stretchy, or you could do this. So I've borrowed from the pattern before. Moving on, we've got this E-shaped chord here and the scale that fits over it. Oh. And the arpeggios that fit over that are, from the last note of the string, we've got I'm very much borrowing from other patterns here, but it's not too stretchy when you get to these thin strings. Okay, the next pattern is the D-shape pattern, and the scale that fits over it is this. Now you could start from here on the last note of the scale like we have been doing, but again you get this awkward stretch. If you want, you can start from a note in front and do this kind of thing. The next pattern is the C-shape pattern. The scale that fits over it is this. And here are the arpeggios. We've got some options again here. I'm going to go for this. Oops. And then you could go and do this big stretch here. That's fine. It's not too bad on this string. And then you've got, and then this little diminished minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. Here's another option you could play. Then you could move over. And this is really nice. You've got this little minor 7 and then another minor 7 here. Really nice and sweepable. So now we've got all these different ideas. What you can do, instead of playing up and down this way, you can actually move horizontally across the neck. So for example, I could do something like, I could even go up an arpeggio, down one, up one, down one, up one, and so on. Now the other thing is you can do this in slow motion and kind of piece together different arpeggios. You could do something like, say, starting from down here, I could play an A minor 7 arpeggio, another A minor 7 arpeggio, slide into an E minor 7 arpeggio, F major, G, 7, A minor. Thanks for watching, people. Hope that was useful to you. If so, please click like and subscribe. Also, all this information is now contained in my new music theory book for guitarists, which there will be a link to in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you soon.